on, guys? It's Jazzy, and today I'm here with Harlem's finest fashionista himself, Mr. Dapper Dan. Mr. Dan, how you doing today?
I'm doing great, and I'm so happy to be here with you. I'm excited, man.
Same here.
I feel like a celebrity because you're interviewing me today.
Oh, thank you so much, and you are a celebrity, and it's really nice to meet you as well.
Thank you so much.
No problem. So you changed fashion in an innovative way when you opened your Dapper Dan boutique. So why was it so important for you to diversify your designs, and how was it able to contribute to your success?
The path that I took was to create in a way that represented the culture that I came from, and I think that was like one of the main points that made me successful. You might hear me say sometimes that I don't dictate fashion, I translate culture. It's things that I learned from my older brothers and the older people in the community is to pay attention to culture. And so I never designed from a perspective of just coming from my mind. What I did was I said, everybody who comes, who I make something for, they become part of my design team. And I listen to how they want to represent themselves and how they want to look, and together we create. So every customer that I have and every customer that I've ever taken care of, it's always been a collaboration.
I really like that, and I have looked at your designs, and I gotta say, I love the way that you were able to make such amazing pieces, and no one else was doing what you were doing at the time, and you were doing a great job, thinking outside the box, and that's what made your clothes so special.
What I call thinking out the box for me is not to follow the beaten path. The designers who came before me, I understand that they had to have something a lot to do with the way European fashion was developing. So I said, I want to go completely the other way. So actually, thinking out the box was like thinking inside of my box and not their box.
Exactly, and that's what I like. So in your book, you highlighted ways that your community in Harlem was very united during your childhood. So how influential was that sense of community for you then, and how have you seen that shift in the generations after?
Well, one of the most profoundest changes that I saw, when I was growing up in Harlem, it was a village. And what reminds me of a village, I'm the first generation of the Great Migration that came from the South. So we had a different sense of community here. I think that we lost over the years, but the ironic thing is that when my parents came up from the South, Harlem was like a segregated community. It was segregated because we weren't able to move outside. So we had middle class, upper class, and lower class blacks all together, Latinos and African Americans all together. So we saw what success looked like for us on each level. But after a while, all the middle class and upper class Latinos and African Americans left. So the biggest change came not from gentrification, because gentrification didn't come to later. The big change came when they relaxed the laws of redlining and segregation, where the middle and upper class people of color could move out. Right. And that drained the community.
Well, that's very interesting, and thank you so much for that information, just letting us know that it was pretty segregated at that time.
Yes.
And thank you so much for that.
You are so welcome.
So why was it so important for you to open your boutique in the neighborhood you grew up in and cater to those in your community?
Well, it was very important for me to cater to the people who were in my community who had a luxury feel but had nobody to cater to them in that luxury way. I wanted to give them something that the upper class luxury brands was not giving them. So I looked at what the luxury brands were doing them, and I said, you know what? I'm going to blackanize that. And what I mean by blackanize, I'm going to take that and use that energy and that cultural input that makes us who we are in a luxury way. Right. And so in order to do that, I had to stay in my community and service the people in my community.
Yeah, you're right. And it's also very important to build up our communities. A lot of people, they leave their communities when they become successful. And the fact that you decided to stay in Harlem and to continue to contribute to the foundation of the neighborhood says a lot, and it's awesome.
Yeah, I'm so proud of that, but, I take the train, I take the bus, because I got to interact. All my energy and all my inspiration comes from the community, right? Right. So one day I'm on the train going back to Harlem, and a young person of color comes up to me, say, Dapper Dan, I never thought I'd see you on the train. I say I'm on the train so I can see you. And so that's where I get my energy and my inspiration. I would never leave there. I don't think like me leaving Harlem was like taking a seed from a plant and putting it in the desert. I would just dry up.
That's a great similarity there. I gotta say, and I think I have to agree with you on that one. I don't really see myself moving out of New York anytime soon. When your boutique was raided and ultimately forced to close, what kept you pushing to not give up and take the measures you did to continue to keep the Dapper Dan brand alive?
Fortunate for me, as I said, I'm the first generation of the great migration that came from the South. Knowing what my parents went through, the trials and tribulations that they went through, it never appeared to me to be worse than what they saw, and they never gave up. So I draw all that strength from the strength that I arrived at from them. So it was not, giving up was not an option, even though it took me like 35 years, 38 years to get where I am now.
I like that as well because I feel like never giving up is something that has resonated with me for a long time. And I have had moments in my career where I would not get interviews that I wanted to get, or I have had missed opportunities. But it's important to let those experiences motivate you to keep pushing. And I love the way that you had that mentality to keep your brand thriving.
The main reason for this is I'm so excited about this interview. I don't get a chance to be interviewed by someone like you, someone like yourself, someone who could really feel the experience that I'm trying to express. But the most important thing about this here, I look forward to interviewers who can take me to the hood. What I mean by take me to the hood, it could ask me really potent questions that I know is going to make a difference for people who come up like myself. I always think of any questions that I get, are they suitable to uplift the people that I grew up with on the corner? Everything I do is about the guys who get lost or stuck on the corner. You might hear me say sometimes that, and I express this to young people, the hardest graduation that a young person is ever going to have, in particular young men, is graduating from the corners. So anything that I can say that's involved in the conversation when I'm being interviewed is directed towards them.
Well, that's great to know that you want to uplift other people that are having trouble trying to get back on their feet. And you're just trying to uplift them. So that's really great to know. So after overcoming so many obstacles in the fashion business, how did it feel to partner and collaborate with Gucci in 2017?
How did it feel?
Yes.
I'll tell you what I told my friends. I said, I think I'm dreaming. And if you pinch me and I wake up, I'm going to kill you. So, that's what it felt like. And I'm still in the dream state, man. It's so amazing. I think I manifest the feeling through people who come up to me, young people like yourself come up to me and say, man, you inspired me, or this and that. That's when I get the charge of really what it feels like being where I am right now. Right. It's through you guys. You standing here, so amazing with a mic, interviewing me, that makes me realize where I am and what I need to do and the contributions and giving back and all of that.
I'm sure that it feels great to actually get the recognition that you deserve for all those years that you've been working hard.
Yes, and I intend to keep working hard, because you guys inspire me. I get all my energy from being around the people. And since I'm never going to stop that, I have this whole reservoir of energy all around me in Harlem, so I thrive off that.
That's amazing. What are ways that you feel gentrification has shifted the culture and dynamics in our urban neighborhoods throughout New York City, especially in Harlem and Brooklyn?
I think it's like everything else I do, it's a collaboration. I look at what you guys do, and I absorb that, and I see where you want to go, and I help you get there. So everything that I do is always part of the people in Harlem and as the generations pass that I come in contact with. Yeah, you guys constantly renew me, but I just pay attention to you guys, and I get all my input on what I need to say and what I need to do based on our interaction with young people.
Right. Well, I'm from Bushwick, Brooklyn, right? Mm-hmm. And similarly to Harlem, the community has changed a lot. I mean, there has been a couple of positive effects, like it becoming cleaner and, us getting businesses that we haven't had before. But there are a lot of people that are being forced to leave their neighborhoods that, like the people that made the neighborhood culture cool, they're being forced to leave their communities. When I say neighborhood culture cool, I mean, like the fashion, the style, the sense of community, because of the increase of rent. And that's the part that really makes me sad.
My experience has shown me that there are three levels that define communities, and especially as today. During the Great Migration, when the Latinos was coming up and African Americans was coming up from the South, we were all there together, right? And like I said earlier, we all embraced different levels of success in the community. Long as we had those three levels of success still in the community had a stronger sense and more power to have garbage trucks, to require the garbage trucks to pick up garbage. There was more pressure from the middle class and upper class people of color who know how to utilize government agencies to get things done. But when the middle class and the upper class people of color left, there wasn't that energy and that know-how to put pressure on the government so that the community could be uplifting. So that's what happened. Now, in terms of gentrification, gentrification was something that wasn't forced on us. We chose to leave,
Right.
The communities where we were in, we didn't lose them, we gave them away. What I mean by that, if we would have stayed in the communities, and the middle class and upper class would have stayed in the communities, we could have fixed our community up. But in a way, I sympathize with them because they was looking for a better way of life when they moved out. But in retrospect, when you look back, we needed to all be there. We needed upper class, middle class, and lower class together, working together to build a community.
Yes.
So the biggest answer to your question when it comes to gentrification is what we all need to be conscious of. We gave our communities away.
Right. Yes.
So now, as gentrification sets in, they came in initially in buildings that were abandoned and fixed them up, the same buildings we could have fixed up. But we just didn't have the initiatives at the time to take advantage of that.
Well, thank you so much for that. I really didn't really notice that, but now that you say it, it does make sense to really look back and really think it through on what we could have done to kind of like fix up this problem.
Yeah. But I don't want to put all the blame on us because I grew up with like Italians, I grew up with
Right.
Greeks, Latinos, Jewish people. Everybody left, and I'm sure a lot of them look back and say, wow, I should have kept that property.
Yeah.
So it wasn't just an isolated thing where we lost it. A lot of people walked away from something. So I'm glad. Actually, what happened with me is like, fortunately for me, I was a reader. Early on, like I was about maybe 15, 16, I read this an article by Constance Baker Motley, and she did a study. The study was urban renewal, Negro removal. And I said, wow. So as they were, what her article dealt with, as they was fixing up, they were beginning to push the poor people who were left out of the neighborhood. I said, you know what? Because I read that article, I said, I'm going to make sure that I'm always going to be able to be in Harlem. So I bought me a brownstone. That at that time, you could have got a brownstone for $25,000. But by the time I got of age to get one, it was $50,000. So I bought me a brownstone and I stayed there. So I was born in Harlem, raised in Harlem, and I'm never leaving Harlem.
In what ways have you been able to work with young designers and show them how to translate culture?
My biggest thing to young designers is to don't get trapped within yourself. I think that was the fortunate thing for me, and let me explain to you what that means. I tell young designers, it's like, this might not be your time, but you can make it your time. You can have the creative mind and have creative ideas, but the world might not be ready for your ideas. However, if you extract from the community, if you do as I did, and like everybody you dress, you're looking at their inspiration as collaboration, right? And then you'll always remain relevant because your designs and your ideas will always be part of the community, Right. And so it's a collaboration, us and who we are, It's from us to them and from them to us for designers. And I try to tell the young designers that, yeah.
Right, translated culture is very important, and I feel like you've been doing a great job with, trying to show that to the younger generation. and with other young designers. And as you said before, it's important to be at a table with other creative minds because we'll be able to show what we can contribute and bring.
Being at the table with other creative minds is good, but if we can get them creative minds to the table. So that's my battle. My battle is to see if I can get us to the table, you know? But right now, there's not a lot of us at that table.
Well, we need a lot more designers, guys. Oh.
And for you,
Ooh, that looks nice.
I have one of our special collaborations with The Gap.
Ooh, that looks
The Gap
nice.
is so amazing, man. The Gap is bringing so much money to our community and to make sure that young people like yourself has an opportunity to grow and develop and prosper. So, and this is for you.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Oh my gosh, thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. This is awesome. Well, can you please share some words of motivation to everyone watching my show?
I'm going to tell you what inspired me. When I was changing my life and I decided what I wanted to be and what I wanted to do in my life, I said, I read Malcolm X's Speech to the Grassroots. And in that Speech to the Grassroots, Malcolm says, if you want to understand the flower, study the seed. And I used that there to teach myself everything that I needed to know, Right. So I would tell everybody, even before you come up to Dapper Dan to ask him anything, first get a book. Go see what you can teach yourself. And then when you come up to me, you have more to offer and that I'm more inspired about helping you. How's that?
Well, that's great. Thank you so much for that advice. Well, guys, I hope you're listening to Harlem's finest fashionista himself, Mr. Dapper Dan. Thank you so much for your time.
No, thank you.
Well, I really had a great time. And until next time, guys, jazzing out.
Jazzing out.